Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
With all the running around and yelling and screaming, the sky is falling. Stop. And remember these words from John Wayne. Courage is being scared to death and saddling up anyway. Good morning. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a patriot. Come on, patriots, step up to the plate. Call Pledge of Allegiance time. And a good morning to you. We are not going to get down. We are not going to run around and go, oh, woe is us. Oh, stop that foolishness, for heaven's sakes. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations with all the tires you need. And believe me, they've got a great big spring tire sale going on. You stop in and see them today. Along with Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have the Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. Are they there, Wheels? What's going on, buddy?
Yes, sir, they are.
All right, once again, go ahead, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Doug, all kidding aside, I want you to call back in a little bit if you would. I would appreciate it. Thank you very, very much for doing our Pledge of Allegiance. Right now, we are going to do the weather, brought to you by K&R Rental. Roger and the crew over at 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn on the Burley-Paul Highway. Number to call, 678-3122. And I'm going to say it because I want it to happen. It's almost time to put in your garden or start working on your new lawn. And they've got all the garden and lawn equipment over there at K&R Rental. Your rototillers, everything. So you just get over there and talk to Roger for whatever you need for long or short-term rental. K&R Rental. Right now, here's Scotty today with the weather.
Looks to be a pretty nice day today. Good morning with your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron. Sunshine today and a high of 53. For tonight, mostly clear, 27 the low. Sunny and 57 for Wednesday. And then Wednesday night, mostly clear. Wind's going to pick up just a little bit, expecting a low of 30 for Thursday. Mostly sunny and a high of 51. Thursday night, mostly clear with a low of 25. Friday, sunshine and 54. However, Saturday, chance of rain and snow and a high of 53. That's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. Have a great day.
I tell you what, thank you, Scott, man, and don't forget K&R Rental, Roger and out over there at the Burley-Paul Highway location of K&R Rental. Call them if you're not sure what you need, and they'll sure discuss it with you and get you taken care of. 678-3122, K&R Rental. Really, really good people. Oh, we got a lot to talk about today. I want to remind you, too, quickly about Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You know what? I went all the way down to Burley yesterday and went to Burley Physical Therapy, and I forgot. I just literally left it laying here, my bag of Rumply Crumplies, to go to Daryl's Cleaners. My goodness, I'm getting old. Anyway, they do the best of your dry cleaning, and by the way, if you don't have time to do your washing, they will wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes, just like Mama used to, at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see those really, really good folks today. Today, what have we got for guests? We got... At 9:06, Dan Kish with the American Energy Alliance, and going to be talking about what's going on in the oil world with the bottom falling out, down to perhaps $20 a barrel. Then we've got Dr. Stephen Holtz coming on, talking about the coronavirus, and we're just going to ask some very prominent questions, easy questions that I don't think people are answering. Dr. History is going to be on at 10:06, and then we've got Ken LaCourte coming on talking about our economy and our stock markets. That'll be coming on at 10:30. Caller, I'll be right with you. Stand by. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, number to dial, number to get them to help you, 678-0459. And they get there at 7:30 in the morning till 5 Monday through Friday. And it is not an exaggeration. They have all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs and all the experience with nearly 7 decades of serving you. Serving you. Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. You get a hold of Ramsey's today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning. The menu at the Burley Senior Center today is a good one. We're having finger steaks and tater tots. We'll have a vegetable and a salad and cookies or cake for dessert.
All right. Well, Joe, what's your very...
So we'll get you all you can eat anytime between 12 and 1 o'clock.
All right. Well, we'll send everybody over. It's the Best Buy in town. What's your very favorite cookie, Joe?
They're all favorite to me.
Okay.
Probably they ought to have some chocolate chips in them.
All right, buddy. Well, listen, you take care. God bless you. We'll send everybody over to the Senior Center on Overland. $5 for great food. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for what you do for us.
All right, my friend. Thank you. Hey, there's a great big spring community sale that I want to mention right now, put on by Rogge Auction Company, and these people are so doggone nice. I mean, good to work with. And they're taking consignments right now for the spring community sale that's going to be held March 21st at 10 o'clock in the morning at the Minidoka County Fairgrounds, and more consignments are coming in daily, and believe me, you need to get a hold of them. Call Ron Rogge at 431-6187 or Cade at 431-0074. Call them now, and they're going to be taking items for the sale right up to March 20th, the day before. Spring Community Sale at the Minidoka County Fairgrounds, managed by Rogge Auction Company. Really, really good people. All right, let's get into some of this morning. And pull no punches on this program. None. Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden are too doggone old to be president of the United States. Plain and simple. Oh, how can you say that? Well, I'm 72 and I'm too old to be the president of the United States. There's no way. Actually, I think the cutoff should be, for the strongest leader in the world, a maximum of 70 years of age. Let's face it. The left is going bonkers and berserk when people criticize Biden for his many gaffes, way too many gaffes, and why shouldn't people be asking questions about Biden's ability? Oh, well, that's taboo, and the left crawls out from underneath their rug and they're ready to set their hair on fire. Wait a minute. This guy, Biden, or wild-haired Bernie, help us all that it doesn't happen. One of them could, underline the word could, become president of the United States. Do you want these guys carrying that nuclear football around, able to carry and hit the red button? And in Biden's case, oops. Oops. We all should question his capabilities. Because he's the one, if Biden gets the nomination on the Democrats, and for heaven's sakes, God help us all if he beats Trump. That just can't happen. But we should question whether they're capable. Joe Biden is in another world by himself. He keeps making gaffe after gaffe after gaffe, and people on his team and the Democrats are trying to sweep it up with a dustpan and cover it up. No, he doesn't know come here from Sikkim. He absolutely is not mentally tough enough right now, sharp enough right now to be the president of the United States. That's not partisan politics on my part. That's just the way it is. And Bernie, the commie, there's no way he should even get to see the Oval Office unless it's on a guided tour that he pays for. I mean, this is ridiculous. We're considering two old white men. They are, bottom line. And they're too old to be the president of the United States. If Bernie was elected, he'd be 80 at the inauguration, 84 at the end of his term if he makes it that long. Come on, use a little common sense. Common sense. And today is another one of their Democratic Super Tuesdays. Idaho's included in that fiasco of primaries. And I wonder, really, what our gem state, as far as the Democrats are concerned, are going to pick for the possible Democratic nominee. Holy cow. I mean, come on. 77 and 78 right now, and it'll be 79 and 80 respectively if they were to be elected. Let's get real. That's too old to be the president of the United States of America. You want to argue that or not? Give me a call. Don't forget our friends at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland and Burley, and all the delicious menu choices. I'm telling you, they've got it all. Deanne's favorite, every time, all the time we go in there, it's strawberry crepes. Oh, she just loves them. And, of course, I'm always been partial to breakfast, so whether it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, anytime, all the time, all the desserts, and the super, super nice people serving you, stop in today to America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland and Burley, and they've got another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Yep, the best Denny's Restaurant. You stop in and see them today. Honestly, folks, how old is too old, and when is too old time to quit? Time to quit. And I'm going to be very blunt. There's a lot of people involved in politics that should have been turned out to pasture, had the halter taken off and said, here, go eat the green grass and don't bother us anymore. That's true on both sides of the aisle. And it's true in a lot of other circumstances, too. A lot of other occupations, as I bit my tongue. But in this case, running for the president, where all the demands on your mind and your body are 24/7, 365, Bernie and Biden, it's a joke to even think about it. Call's welcome. Come on, don't sit there. Do not sit there. You give me a call and like to hear your response. And while I'm waiting for your call that I just absolutely know is coming in, I want to remind you about Dino's Septic Service. These people, they do a job, excuse me, that the rest of us, as I get all choked up, the rest of us don't want to do. We don't want to be standing out there pumping a septic tank. Oh, I remember doing that. And we don't want to be in charge of liquid waste removal or sewer and sink drain line cleaning and all that. Oh, my. But Dino's Septic Service does, and they really want to serve you. And they do with fast, fair, friendly service. I remember when they came over and worked for us. These are really nice people. Number to call, 436-6526 or 678-1638. As I said, they'll pull in the yard with that big truck that says, smells cargo on the way. Dino's Septic Service. Really good folks. All right, come on now. We have plenty of time and opportunity for you to give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Coronavirus. I'm almost to the point where I am considering not running segments on the coronavirus. And some of you might say, well, it's in the news. That's all they talk about. Yeah, it is. But I think that's part of the problem. Very unfortunately, 26 people have died, numbers possibly going up into the 30s here. I heard some rumors before I went on the air that those numbers have escalated. Mostly the deaths have occurred in Washington State at a senior home. There are no cases as of yet reported in Idaho. 36 other states have reported cases of coronavirus. Now, how afraid are you? How afraid are you? Be honest about it. Are you running around and ready to take lighter fluid and set your hair on fire? Or run out and get a shovel and bury your head in the dirt and go, oh, the world is coming to an end? Or are you going to live your life? Yesterday, I had a chance to talk to a lot of people regarding coronavirus. And I am going to put my faith in the Lord. I am going to put my faith in what is going to be, is meant to be. And I'm not going to run, and I'm not going to hide, and I'm not going to change my lifestyle. Things may be changed for me, as far as some of the events that I perhaps would like to attend or go to, but I'm not going to change my lifestyle. And then you have people like the very, very lack of intelligent Jackie Spears, one of the liberal newscasters, said that Donald Trump was thoughtless and careless for having rallies for his reelection. And to show you how dumb this was, nothing was said about, on the other side of the aisle, Bernie and Biden and their groups. Oh, no, we on the left, that's okay. But when Trump does something, it's absolutely scandalous and dangerous. That shows you how loony and stupid these people on the left are. Caller, please, good morning.
Good morning. I can tell you right now, I am not afraid of the coronavirus. And I'm 84 years old, so I'm a prime candidate, but I still don't worry about it.
Let me ask you a question. Have you, and I don't mean to pry into your personal affairs and daily routines and everything, but have you contacted your doctor? Have you talked to them about any symptoms or anything to watch out for? Have you done anything like that?
No, I haven't.
Okay. I did yesterday. And you know what I found out? They don't know, I think, as much as we perhaps might by following this every day. In other words, the flu is all over the nation and has already killed thousands of people. We know that for a fact. The coronavirus, speaking on this program, I don't know the exact count because they said there were a couple of people that were terminal in Washington State. Let's just say that the 30 people in this country, the United States of America, and approximately 600 and some cases have been turned in. Now, when you compare that to the flu, I am totally agreeing with you. I'm not going to sit there. I'm not going to worry about the end of the world. I'm not going to have the Chicken Little theory. I'm not going to set my hair on fire. I'm going to live my life.
Well, I'm sorry, Zeb, I don't have any hair on fire. Thanks, bye.
God bless you. I don't have any hair to set on fire. I love that, man. Thank you very much. That was well stated. Well, I do, but I'm not going to. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I know they're talking about closing schools. They're talking about closing down sporting events. I heard rumors. There's a new word. Look it up in Webster's. Rumors and rumblings about possibly not having the NCAA tournaments. Why? I mean, this thing is, I believe in my own heart of hearts, going to terminate itself and start to see a pinnacle and then a valley and then a leaving us. Like everything else, it's going to run its route. And the old saying, this too shall pass. Should we be careful? Absolutely. Wash your hands. I mean, like if you're going into a public place, you're going to be touching doorknobs and everything else. Maybe take along some little packets of those hand cleaners, or use hand cleaner if you have it, or if the business has it. Sure, be careful. And don't be around sick people that are going cough, cough, hack, hack, sneeze, sneeze. But to say that, oh my, I've got to live in my little bubble, Martha, go get some toilet paper because we're not going anywhere for 3 months. Can't live like that. Don't want to live like that. What are your thoughts? Give me a call, 436-2244. Please give me a call. You know something else that really bugs me about this whole thing? And this ought to stir the natives up on the left as if they weren't already stirred up. Every day that goes by, and if you want to, you can criticize me, but prove me wrong. Criticize is fine, but prove me wrong is another thing. Every day that goes by, I honestly am starting, to believe that this is a politically motivated disaster, a horrific event that's being orchestrated by the left to absolutely not allow Trump to be reelected in the fall. Some of the verbiage that's used about Trump this and Trump that, and he didn't do this and he didn't do that. Now the left, in their evil, crazy ways, have shifted the blame to where Trump is the cause of all of this coronavirus. What did he do? What did he do, and what did he do wrong? Nothing. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell.
Why, I think I know you, lady. You and your husband, why, you hitched a ride in the back seat of my pickup yesterday.
We did for, about 10 minutes, and it was really nice to visit.
Well, it was. What can I do? What can I do for you, Donna?
Well, there's garbage going around, and I'm sorry, I don't know how other way to term it. The sky is not falling. The stock market will come back. It always does. And President Trump did what he thought was best when he first heard about it.
Yeah.
And my question is, how many of the Democrats knew about it before President Trump did?
Yeah. This sky is falling attitude, Donna, it's causing more harm than I think the actual coronavirus.
Oh, I think you're right. People, I guess, I don't know. I guess we've got a lot of illiterate and people who stress over every little dadgum thing that comes out.
It has been
more about the flu. You and I and Deanna have talked about this.
Yeah.
I worry more about the flu than I do the virus. Wash your hands. Wash your doorknob. Don't go to places that you think is going to be sick people if that's the way you want to be. But don't panic.
If you don't put yourself in a position of where you got somebody sitting next to you that absolutely is going nose to handkerchief, handkerchief to nose, and coughing and spewing out germs all over the area, you don't want to do that on any occasion, let alone through a so-called crisis with coronavirus. You don't want to sit next to somebody like that. I don't anyway, and I'll get up and move. But this saying that the end is near and everybody's having a mental breakdown. Why, I can't live like that. I don't want to live like that. They're even now starting to tape TV shows like Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune without any studio audiences because they're afraid of getting sick.
Oh, I know. They got to be afraid of something, I think. And the news media doesn't help the situation. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to turn out. But you know what? I'm going to go on living my life. I'm going to go clean my houses. I'm going to go grocery shopping. We're going to go to dinner if we want to. there's just precautions you can take no matter what you do.
Absolutely. And like my good friend Rick Manning yesterday on the program when we were talking about this, he said, hey, I've got faith in God that he's in control, not the Democrats or not these crazies that want to set everything on fire and say the end of the world is coming. I just don't see it. I don't see it why we're not more afraid. And why we're not just absolutely building bonfires and standing around those bonfires worried about the flu more than we are coronavirus.
Yeah, it is just crazy. The excuse me, the CDC has come out and said that there is a concern, but if you use precautions, you should be okay. And that the sad thing about it is, you and I, George and Deanne, and a lot of your followers, we're all in the category that we could contract.
Oh, absolutely.
We're susceptible.
Absolutely.
But is that going to stop me from doing what I want to do every day? No.
Yeah, I mean, these people that absolutely, the minute that there might be a problem, or the minute that they might be subjected to something that will change or alter their lifestyle, to sit back and scream and go, oh, the end is near. I can't live like that. I don't want to live like that.
No, it's ridiculous. I don't want to live in a bubble. If I wanted to be protected, I'd wrap myself in bubble wrap.
Oh, I thought George already did.
No, I'm thinking about doing him, though.
God bless you. Have a great day.
Just very few know what I'm talking about.
Okay. Hey, you take care of yourself. Thank you.
I will. You too. Have a good day.
Thank you very much. Oh, I tell you what, if you folks out there in Radio Land want to go, well, this is serious. Why, we don't know what to do. Why, we can't leave the house. We can't go get groceries. We can't go get gas at the filling station. Why, we certainly can't drive down and look for a new couple of shirts or maybe a lady's dress for the wife or whatever. Why, we've got to stay home. Why? Why? Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental. Oh, you know what? They've got the equipment. They got a brand new inventory of all the equipment that'll take care of the lifting and the digging and the grading and the leveling and the pushing and the carrying. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget they've got 3 locations, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa location. The best of financing programs and lease programs right there at Barry Equipment and Rental. Once again, Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. You stop in and see them today. Barry Equipment and Rental. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Top of the morning to you.
My friend, how are you?
Good. One thing that I read the other day and had to chuckle about, one thing that this coronavirus has done is got people wiping their rears, washing their hands, and drinking water.
Okay. Well, you spelled it out for us.
I tried to clean it up what it said when I read it, but anyway, it is my feeling it is the Democrats' way of trying to get President Trump out, because Mueller didn't work,
Yep.
The spying didn't work,
Yep.
the collusion didn't work, the impeachment didn't work, and just when did this become public, the coronavirus?
The exact date I'm not going to give you, but it was certainly becoming into its prominence shortly after, correct me if I'm wrong, right after the impeachment sailed that boat away from the dock and that fell through the ocean floor.
Yep. Yeah, it come out on December 30th.
Yep.
Is when it was first announced.
Yep.
Okay. And then by January 20th or 30th, right in that area, didn't President Trump have a travel ban and a quarantine for any American that's been in China to come back to be quarantined for 14 days?
Well, and that you lead me to ask you a question in return right there. We'll kind of question each other. Why in the world aren't the people of the United States and for that matter, the people of the world, pointing in condemnation the Chinese for the way that they handled and mishandled and absolutely messed this whole problem up because they wouldn't allow people to come in and help them. They didn't contain it themselves in Wuhan, where it started. And now there have even been some of these absolutely brain-dead broadcasters from CNN and MSNBC that have said, oh, you can't criticize Wuhan and China because that's racist. What?
I know it. You can't call it the Wuhan virus. There's been many viruses named after where they started. My opinion on the reason China did not want anybody to come in and help is because they knew where it started and why it started.
Could very well be.
I mean, if you do something that's not right, I guess you couldn't call it illegal, but it's immoral. But if you do something like that, and these people want to come in and find out and help, and they have a chance of showing what you have done that's immoral, then you don't want them to come and do it.
Well, Doug, simply put, or any of the listeners out there, answer this question. Who stands to gain if this virus hurts Trump?
The Democrats and China and Iran and all of those.
The list goes on, doesn't it?
It does.
If you can point your finger in blame at President Trump in condemnation of his of the way he handled this and his administration's handling of this right prior to the election, and bring the economy down and say, see, it was a Western false front building anyway, and Trump didn't have anything to stand on. The stock market's down, everything's down. See, we told you so. I still maintain that when you see the dust settle, you're going to see a lot of evil and sinister values that the left perpetrated because of coronavirus.
Exactly. And the media. The media is right in there with them. The media is fanning the flame, and the left in the swamp, which I'm not going to call them all Democrats because there's Republicans in that swamp also. And I could name a few from Idaho. But they're pouring gas on the flame, the swamp is, and the media is fanning it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they've been praying and hoping for a recession for, 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when you have people like Bill Maher, a lot of people overlook some of the statements and comments that have been made. But it was about 9-10 months ago on his broadcast, Bill Maher made the statement that he wouldn't mind having pestilence and everything else sweep the earth as long as it would get President Trump out of office.
Exactly. Isn't that like, okay, you get on this airplane and you don't like the pilot for some reason, so you hope the pilot has a heart attack.
Yeah.
And the plane doesn't reach the destination.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wonder, Doug, really, I know people that I talked to yesterday. Oh, well, we're not going to go there because we're afraid of contracting the coronavirus. Well, no, I think all these events should be closed for fear of spreading the coronavirus. I talked to a person yesterday that said they were planning on going to the NCAA tournaments, but now they have decided they're not going to go because of the coronavirus. They might not even have the tournament games. And I don't see it that way at all. I think that by capitulating and caving into a problem, you escalate the problem.
Exactly. That's exactly it. I'm like Donna. If my wife and I decide to go out and have dinner, we're going to go out and have dinner. I mean, we're going to continue living our life. I'm not going to quarantine myself because there's a bug out there that might make me sick.
You know, I think it boils down to, I know you're a Christian, and I know your beliefs, and I am not about to sit there and say, oh, woe is me, the world is coming to an end, and just kind of pull myself into a cave and then pull the rope that has, it's been tied to a rock and lock myself in that cave. I can't live that way. I won't live that way, and I think it's absolutely stupid to try to live that way.
Yes, and just think if the Knights of the Crusade would have done that against the Muslims who were taking over Europe. Had they crawled into a cave and says, "Oh, this is the end. We're done." What would have happened? No.
Yeah.
They stood up and they fought back.
Well, there's a couple of things that I want to mention here, and if anybody on the right, conservative, would have said something like this in regards to Obama when he was president, that particular person would have been ridden out of town on a rail and never untied. A guy by the name of Baron Soka, the president of Tech Freedom, a Washington, D.C. based libertarian think tank, questioned... What's that?
That's an oxymoron.
Yeah, but did you hear what the guy said? He wondered Monday night when he was questioned in an interview whether it would be poetic justice for President Donald Trump to die from the coronavirus after speaking at the Conservative Political Action Conference in D.C. this last week. I mean, if somebody said that on the right about Obama, can you imagine where and when and how long they would be incarcerated or shunned in society?
Exactly. It would be 24/7 wall-to-wall coverage of how despicable that man is.
Yeah.
And that's a true fact right there, that a true analogy of how our justice system is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a two-tiered, it's two ways. The Democrats can say and do whatever they want, or the liberals, but you take a conservative, say what they want, and they get damned for it.
Yeah. It's almost the same as what's going on with Joe Biden. There are those, and I've had calls to me on my cell phone, people criticizing me for saying something about Joe Biden's mental status. Well, that shouldn't be taboo. If the guy that's running for president has some mental problems or reservations caused by old age or dementia, whatever, every single American should be questioning whether he's capable of carrying that nuclear football with him 24/7 and possibly pushing the button. He had another gaffe yesterday when he said, quote, "Together, I think we can win back the House." Well, Joe, I hate to tell you this, but you've already got the House.
I know it, yeah, and Trump will be reelected.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a never-ending lollipop with the Democrats, and I think this time with the coronavirus and everything that they've tried to do, they've gone too far.
They have. The pendulum has really swung way, way to the left, and I'm thinking it's on its way back.
Yep.
I really do, and I think when it comes back, it's going to take a lot of people down. And as soon as some people get held accountable for what they've done and how they've treated Americans and how they've lied and cheated, until people are held accountable, Zeb, it's not going to stop.
Amen. I got to run quickly. Tell us about the seniors. I got 5 seconds. Go.
Well, you got more than that. I'd like to say something else about Biden's brother getting invaded, with the SWAT team and the frogmen and the cameras rolling. But everybody, let's take care of the senior centers. Let's support them. And like I've said, go there and eat. You'll leave with a full tummy and a full heart.
I love that. A full stomach and a full heart. That's good. That's good. I'm going to have to buy you lunch at Lunch Bunch for that.
I'll accept.
Well, you just
win, so I can have the steak and the lobster and.
Hey, don't get picky, okay? See you later. Thank you.
All right, God bless.
All right. Oh, my. I want to go to the weather forecast. And the weather brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Where are they? Thought you'd never ask. Right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room, and Dr. Christine Pickup and her staff are absolutely outstanding in providing hearing screenings for you. Absolutely. The American Academy of Audiology, they recommend that individuals with hearing loss undergo an annual evaluation, so you should get a hold of them right now. I've got a new telephone number for you. Caller, stand by. Don't go away. Number 261-4757. That number again, 261-4757. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, the best. Here's Scott Mann with the weather.
Looks to be a pretty nice day today. Good morning with your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron. Sunshine today and a high of 53. For tonight, mostly clear, 27 the low. Sunny and 57 for Wednesday. And then Wednesday night, mostly clear. Wind's going to pick up just a little bit, expecting a low of 30 for Thursday. Mostly sunny and a high of 51. Thursday night, mostly clear with a low of 25. Friday, sunshine and 54. However, Saturday, chance of rain and snow and a high of 53. That's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. Have a great day.
Scotty, thank you. And brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And really, really trust these people with your hearing health. They know and they can help you. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Call for an appointment, 261-4757. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. I just want to remind everybody today is Idaho primaries. And if you're going to do the flip-flop thing and change parties, you only have 4 days after the election to flip-flop back.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're talking about a flip-flop world, aren't we?
Yes, we are. And who knows who's going to do what. Just be aware that if you're going to do that, you have a time frame on it this time.
I got to ask you a question, Sharon, and we haven't had a chance lately to really talk to each other or call each other, but which candidate of the complete lesser of candidates that they could have ever put on the ballot, Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders, which one do you think that the Democratic Party in the primaries will vote for today?
Wow. I think the majority will probably maybe go for, I'm really hedging on this one, will probably maybe go for Biden. I think they're afraid of Sanders. He is such a devout communist. I think they're concerned about him taking the country too fast, too far, and they're not quite ready for that, even though that's the direction they want to go. I don't think they're quite ready for Sanders yet.
I think in the state of Idaho, now this is just purely my own speculation, correct me if you feel the urge, because I'll take it, but I think because of Boise State University and Idaho State University, I'm leaving the University of Idaho alone on this one because I think they're more conservative of nature up there, but I think that we're going to be seeing a lot closer with Bernie and Biden than you think, and I'm going to say it's going to be like a 3-2 margin for Biden, but it's going to be close.
I agree with you. I think there's enough youth out there that do not comprehend the magnitude of what Sanders is doing and what he stands for. They don't understand at all what communism is, what socialism is. Socialism is just the first step in towards communism.
Well, basically, when you get down to
that leap, you're not going to get out of it.
Yeah, when you talk about definitive standards of socialism and communism, I mean, you're talking about some gray lines that you can't even see. To have either one implemented is absolutely going to be the downfall of America forever.
Exactly. And it's scary to me. Absolutely scary to me. Not quite as scary as going to the grocery store right now, but it's scary to me.
Well, okay, quickly, do you have fears and trepidations to go to the grocery store, to go to an event, to sit down and have dinner, to maybe go to a little gathering? I don't. I'm not going to let this coronavirus change my life.
No, that doesn't bother me. I've never done well in large crowds anyway, but going to the store and going down a couple of the aisles and try to find that last roll of toilet paper could be concerning.
Well, there's always remnants of the old Sears Roebuck catalog.
true. This is true. Although in this day and age, not many people even know what that is.
Amen. I got to run, but thanks, Sharon. I appreciate it.
Okay, bye.
God bless. Oh, my goodness sakes. Runs on the grocery store. We got to get this. We got to store up. Why? We've got to go home and lock the door in our bubble and live that way. Can't do it. Don't want to do it. Calls welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, just like when Sharon called a moment ago, I would like to know what you think about that. Now, I really couldn't care less about who the Democrats in this state want to try to put forth in the primary today. I really don't care. Because either candidate to me means nothing more than I hope a defeat in the fall in the general election for either Bernie or Biden. But what do you think? Do you think that the state will go for the extreme of a communist, Bernie Sanders, everything's free, why, you don't have to pay for anything? Don't talk about how much our taxes are going to go up, never. Or do you think they'll go towards old foggy Joe Biden that probably couldn't find Idaho on the map now? Give me a call. Let me know what your thoughts are. While I'm waiting for your call, I'm going to talk to you about our major sponsor, and that's, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. You know, they've got all the tires you need for any situation, any driving, any vehicle, and I urge you, because right now they're having a spring tire sale. You can save money. I mean, but when you drive into any one of the 7 locations, I mean, we're talking about world-class people serving you, coming out at a high lobe saying, may we serve you? What are your needs? You can tell them, well, I need tires, or maybe you need to have your brakes checked, or your front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, whatever the case might be. They really take care of you. And you don't want to be driving on bad tires. You don't want to be driving on alignment that you're headed north, but actually the tires are aiming south. You want to make sure that everything's right. So please stop in and see them today. Lane in Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike in Buell, Mike in Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. The best. And that's the way to put it. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Big spring tire sale. Okay, callers, your turn. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm going to say this. We're going to have a segment on it next week, and I mean this. The transgender bills and the birth certificate gender bills that have been introduced, went through the House, now to the Senate in the state of Idaho, I hope they pass. I hope they pass. They need to pass. And businesses like Chobani, Cliff Bar, and others, I say to you, stop worshiping the dollar on the altar and start using common sense and decency. This is a despicable, for those that are fighting these bills and saying, oh, allow the transgenders to play on the girls' team, or, oh, yeah, anybody can have whatever gender they want on their birth certificate and their driver's license. This is insanity. And it's a despicable display of money first and morality values last. And I absolutely point my finger again at companies like Chobani and Cliff Bar and others for worshiping the almighty dollar. Caller, quickly, I've got 2 minutes left.
Yes, when it says in the Bible, when you start worshiping the dollar, it's a sign of evil. Mm-hmm. It is evil. That means you're worshiping Satan. It's a sad day when people sell their soul And that's what they do. They sell their soul for the almighty dollar.
That's exactly what's happening with the endorsement of Chobani and Cliff Bar and Micron, etc. And they're saying, oh, well, by passing those transgender bills, saying they can't play on the girls' teams, and by passing the bill that they can't change their gender on their birth certificate, oh, that's going to place recruiting of people to work in the state at risk, and it's so discriminatory. There's a word I want to use, but I'll just say bunk.
Exactly. Yeah, bovine droppings.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And another thing, too, when for evil to succeed, and I've said this many times and read it many places, for evil to succeed, good men do nothing.
Yep. And all the time they talk about discrimination, but they're not talking about the discrimination of girls that are trying hard to get scholarships and go on through their athletic programs and not be encumbered with the Satanist evil of having transgender men on their team. I'm fed up with this, and it's time to use common sense.
Yes, and in their locker rooms.
Amen.
I mean, who has daughters out there or granddaughters and would be okay with other men in the locker room with them showering and changing?
Yeah. That's why I'm pointing my finger at these businesses, Chobani, Cliff Bar, etc. Stop worshiping the dollar on an altar and start using common sense. That's something that they probably can't and won't do.
Nope. They chase the almighty dollar.
There you go. I got to run. Thanks. Headed for the news from CBS. I'll be back in 7. Don't go away. Hold on. Here we go. Hour number 2 on a good-looking blue sky Tuesday morning, March 10th. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch, and brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, where all 7 locations are celebrating a great big, huge spring tire sale. Stop in and see them today. Don't forget to Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
You know, they've been with us for a long time on this program, Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. And again, I want to reiterate that if you're new to the area and you've got, you have no idea who to call, who to help you with your trash, how to get rid of it, hey, problem solved. All you have to do is call 734-6969. Tell them about your needs. They get you on the route service once a week. Come by, get your garbage. Everything's okie doke. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. The number again, 734-6969. Want to remind you again about that great big spring community sale. They're taking consignments for it right now at the Minidoka County Fairgrounds, managed by Rogge Auction Service. Oh, you do not want to miss this sale. Going to be ripping good. They're going to be taking items right up until the day before on March 20th at 5 p.m. You better call them now. Ron Rogge at 431-6187 or Cade Rogge at 431-0074. Spring community sale at the Minidoka County Fairgrounds on March 21st at 10 a.m. Again, managed by Rogge Auction Service. Really, really good people. Real quick, and when I talk about good people, I've got to say that yesterday I went in for another treatment on my old knee and my leg, and that was Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Hello, Nick Greenwell. You know, they were voted absolutely the best physical therapist, Nick Greenwell, Jeff Jensen. I mean, they're really, really good people, knowledgeable knowledgeable people and can help you with all your aching and paining and recuperating after surgery or an accident. Why, all you have to do is call 678-1191. And they're located at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 678-1191. There are a lot of people that are on this program every week. 30, 40 different people every week. And this man that's coming on the program, he knows energy. He knows what's going on, and he's with the American Energy Alliance, and I have the utmost respect for him. Dan Kish, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I have the utmost respect for you, too, sir.
You know, Dan, I don't even know where to start on this because this is my feeling and my attitude, and you tell me if I'm wrong. I think right now the employment of the Chicken Little syndrome, the sky is falling, everybody run for cover, pull the rock in after you in the cave. Oh my goodness, the end of the world is near. I think it's absolute total lunacy because of the coronavirus. What are your thoughts?
Well, honestly, Zeb, I don't really know. I mean, I pray, and I know you and your listeners do as well, that this doesn't get any worse here or in the rest of the world. But I will say this, I've never seen the media take off. It's almost like they're cheering it on.
Yeah.
And I think they're cheering it on because they're trying to, give free commercials against the president or something.
Absolutely.
It just never fails to watch these people go to town. I remember back when President Obama had the N1 virus or whatever, and the government didn't do anything for 6 months and had 1,000 deaths before they announced any kind of program to deal with it. And yet on this one, it's like the world's coming to an end. So I share your your concern about it. I'm just sometimes it's maddening. I just hope that we'll put an end to this and it'll run its course. And meanwhile, there's nobody talking about the thousands and thousands of people who've died from the regular flu.
There you go.
Young people, which the coronavirus doesn't seem to affect. So it's I guess it's a sign of the times, but I have to tell you, there are times when I don't like the times.
You know, Dan, you just basically said and summed up what I talked about all the first hour. I just think the world is coming to an end. Set your hair on fire and run down the hallways. You're never going to see a better day. That's absolutely stupid, asinine, and I think it lends to what the left is trying to do. I honestly am of the volition that the left is using this for a political gain for what they want, and they don't care about any morality on this subject whatsoever.
Oh, no. I mean, I see on some of these websites and things where they're actually sort of cheering it on, literally. We've got some of these commentators and pundits and things like that who are basically saying the New York Times said, call it the Trump flu.
Yeah.
I mean, it came from China, for God's sakes, as do 80% of our medicines. I mean, how did it happen that the United States became 80% dependent on the Chinese for our medicines? I guess it was just a bunch of politicians giving away the store year after year after year. Nobody was paying any attention to it. President Trump, at least, has done something about that, and now they want us to all go to solar panels, and 80% of them come from China.
There you go.
Nobody seems to be bothered by that either. But when it comes to this, it's President Trump's fault. So I wonder about the double standard, but I got so used to double standards, I'm seeing double.
You know, we're on the same page, and I want you to tell me and the audience this morning what is going on with the markets. Now, we know that with this silly groupie-styled hysteria that's being forced upon a lot of companies and various aspects of our economy, the oil industry, Russia, Saudi Arabia, our production, etc., we've heard reports, and you can verify or dispel these things, that we're going to be looking at prices maybe of $20 to $25 per barrel of crude oil. Prices at the pump, I think, will be optimum as they have never been for 30 years. What are your thoughts? And then we'll take a call.
Well, my thoughts are, you know, like most of this stuff that's going on right now, there seems to be a huge overreaction, and that's typical. I mean, when people are betting their money on things, if the horse if they're leading it up to the gate and it seems to limp or something, they're going to switch their bets real quick. And so that's what a lot of this is. There's a lot of money at stake, and so people have. Now the markets are up today about 250 points. Oil markets are back up a little bit. Yesterday was just a wipeout, 20% drop. And it didn't really have. It was the combination of the running around with their hair on fire about the coronavirus, and the bigger part of this. We knew it was going to happen as of this weekend when the Saudis and the Russians got into a fight over production levels of oil. And while the United States is, the largest producer of oil and gas in the world, fact is we still import, we still export, we trade wherever it makes sense. And so like corn or wheat or anything else, that stuff is bought and sold at world prices. And that's what happened is the Saudis got angry with the Russians and said, if you're not going to agree to cut back a little bit in light of what's going on with the flu, the Wuhan flu, we're going to increase our production and drive prices down in the thought that could stop the Russians. I expect that both of them are too dependent on oil to let this go on for very, very long, but I could be surprised. I've seen other things where I've been wrong before, so don't don't bet the farm on my analysis. But what really happened is somebody said all of a sudden at a time when the Chinese economy is contracted, they're a big consumer of oil, and our own is people aren't flying around on planes and things. There's a fear that demand was going to go down. At the same time, supply was going to go way up, and so they dumped.
We have a caller with a comment or a question for you, Dan. Stand by. Caller, you're on the air. Thank you for your patience. Go ahead.
Well, talking about hype, yesterday our supposed friend, Fox News Radio, it took him 2 or 3 hours to finally fess up that the biggest problem, situation with the markets yesterday was the oil and, Saudi Arabia and Russia. And it wasn't, the virus, the coronavirus. But you see, even Fox News, you'd like to think they are somewhat on our side, but they were perpetuating the myth of the coronavirus too. The thing about Russia and Saudi Arabia, where we're totally independent and we're exporting, they're fighting over the scraps. I'll hang up. Thank you.
Respond to the caller, if you would, please, Dan.
Yeah, your caller's right. They are fighting over the scraps. I mean, the amazing thing is, and I think it's important for your audience to know that 80+% of the increase in world supply of oil that's happened over the last couple of years has been from the United States. It hasn't been from Saudis and the Russians. The reason prices are pretty decent for, at least they are here. I think you can buy gasoline for right around Washington, D.C. for $2.39 a gallon, and lower when you get away from this place. And that means a lot to families. That means a huge amount to families in terms of their budgets, but I guess, you know, the fact of the matter is we have to remember that these media outlets, all of them, including Fox, they're based in New York. Their outlook is, regardless of whether they necessarily go along with things, they all live and work in New York City, by and large. And New York City is about as far from the real world as you'll get. Now, you know, they're a very important city in terms of the stock market and commerce and that sort of thing, but they don't really make anything in New York City. All they do is trade. Mm-hmm. And so them understanding the impacts of this, or trying to put two and two together, they come in with an ingrown bias. And unfortunately, most of the media is located either in New York City or increasingly Washington, D.C., and neither place is a place where people get a lot of dirt under their fingernails, if you know what I mean, Jim.
You know, let me ask you this, Dan. Let's just project this out till May, the end of May. Kids are out of school. Mom and Dad, you know, they would really like to take a trip to Disneyland with little Johnny and Susie, or maybe take a camping trip someplace, whatever. Maybe they've got other summer activities they'd like to be a part of. The end of May, I am going to make a prediction to you that by the end of May, most all of this, 90% or better of the coronavirus and all the market fluctuations, the ups, the downs, the negatives, probably will go by the wayside if the liberal left lets it. I think this could be a continuation on into the summer if the left wants to use it as a political nail in the coffin of Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, Zeb, most reports are that if we get warmer temperatures, obviously the flu is less prevalent in warmer temperatures. It's a winter thing. That it'll be reduced, and God willing, this thing will run its course, and won't have too much of an impact. A real impact other than the psychological impact of nonstop coverage. I mean, I go to the Drudge report, and you'd think the world was coming to an end or something, and an asteroid was on its way. Everything that happens is reported breathlessly, but you can make no mistake about it. I mean, we are in a political presidential election year, and there's probably not been a more important one in terms of the direction of the country than the one we've got coming up. And given where the media is with its left bias, they're going to do everything in their capability to try to make it, to try to hold any kind of issue as you know, they'll be blaming allergy season on the Wuhan flu or something.
Yeah.
It's just going to be a continual thing. I remember seeing this back in 2004 when they were all going after then President Bush over a flu epidemic, and as soon as the election was over, and I mean as soon as the election was over, they stopped.
Yeah.
There wasn't any more discussion of the supposed problem with the flu season coming up. There was apparently something wrong with the antiviral or something. So, I mean, they just have a way of doing this. People just have to be aware. Part of it is being aware of your surroundings, aware that most of the stuff that comes over the airwaves or through your cable or via satellite is nonsense designed to try to change your mind about the actual way you see the world.
Let me ask you this as a final question this morning, Dan, and I'm not even sure how to phrase it, so help me a little bit. But with the denigration of the fuel and energy markets, States and going down, down, down. Could that be a ploy again by the left to further and promote the green energy aspect, or do you think that once this so-called end of the world theory is ended and it goes by the wayside, energy and everything else will come back?
Well, Zeb, it's a great question, and it obviously hurts our domestic producers. But generally what happens is they go through a situation like this, and it sort of weeds out some of the bad, not bad players, but folks who can't make it. And then the other ones come back stronger than ever and leaner than ever, and that helps. That helps make us all stronger because it means we get more real energy for the right price. Now, you know, one of the things that's going to come out of this, I could almost see this flipping on its head. If other energy becomes less expensive, this green energy, which is already subsidized and mandated and all these other government programs, is going to become evidently more expensive than the alternatives. And so they may have a problem. Plus, there's the other part about this, which is that all these solar panels that everybody gets so excited about, 80% of them are come from China.
Mm-hmm.
We were never 80% dependent on the Middle East for our oil, but we're 80% dependent on the Chinese for our solar panels. Now, maybe one of these masterminds here in Washington, D.C., it'll finally dawn on them that, gee, why are we trading our own resources, our own energy, our own God-given stuff under our own feet that we're now producing in abundance for hooking up to the Chinese and being dependent upon them for our energy? And I think maybe there's, hopefully, there's a silver lining in this cloud.
With this kind of a problem, last thought on this morning, Dan, with this kind of a problem with the media and the distortion of really how bad the problem is, and you're looking at just two entities right now, the United States and China, which country, because of the coronavirus overall, with the economies and everything else, which country is going to stand to get hurt the worst?
China is probably going to be hurt worse, but because it's a communist dictatorship, you won't read as much about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. I mean, everybody in the world sees our news. You have to remember that, you know, our cable news goes all over the world. So a lot of people around the world are watching American TV, and so the view of the United States comes through the same lens that we see it. So which you know, if people put two and two together, is a perception thing as well. But I mean, obviously, we're a God-fearing, resource-rich, free market, free minds, free people economy as long as we can keep it. Versus a communist dictatorship, we're always going to win out.
Absolutely.
Unless those people who wish that sort of thing on us prevail.
Absolutely. Absolutely. American Energy Alliance, and besides all that, he's a very good friend of this program. I respect him every week on the show. Dan Kish, God bless you, man. Have a wonderful week. Maybe next Tuesday, everything will start to look up.
I hope so, Zeb. Thank you very much. God bless.
God bless you. Thank you very much. Dan Kish. Really good guy. He's under that heading. Really good guy. Hey, by the way, I know some other good guys, too. And fine, ladies and gentlemen, serving you, and that's, of course, the staff and the family of Joel Heward, serving you at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. You know, they absolutely want to provide the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort when there's the passing of a loved one, and always upholding the highest ethical standards and unquestioned integrity. I urge you to write this number down and have it available to you, or call them and get some of the pre-planning information we all should have on funerals. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. The number 436-5636. I'll repeat it, 436-5636. Joel Heward, the manager. And don't forget, Joel also serving you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Really nice people. One other business I want to highlight this morning, because, boy, they're getting ready for a huge, that means really big, open house on April 3rd, and that's Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. And believe me, you're going to find some really, really great deals. They've got 2021 snowmobiles on display, and don't forget, April 14th is the last day for the Snowmobile Snow Check pre-order, and now's the time to get your 4x4s ready for the summer rides. I've been telling you that. Get into the service appointment. All you have to do is call 436-4771. That number again, 436-4771. Let's ride. Oh, yeah. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, and it is the truth. This is where the fun is sold at Let's Ride. Our next guest is ready to go, and I'm going to probably mispronounce his last name, and so therefore I urge this gentleman to correct me. With us on the telephone right now is the founder and CEO of the Holtz Health and Wellness Center in Houston, Texas, and also a best-selling author, Dr. Stephen Holtz. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm still trying to get him on, sir.
Oh, well, thank you. Okay. Is there a problem?
They just haven't been able to find him, and I've tried both numbers, so they're trying to find him.
Oh, how wonderful that is. Well, keep trying. Don't weaken on me, okay?
Will do, sir.
All right. In that interim of time, while we're waiting for our doctor to get on the air, we certainly hope that you'll give us a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. With that being said, we'd like to remind you, too, about our friends over at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert, right there on the curve as you're going into town. And don't forget the very best of life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and more from Todd and the whole staff. Very dedicated and responsive to your needs. Don't forget to give them a call. Make an appointment. Let them serve you at 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Did we find him? And now we can't find Wheels. Okay. Wheels, are you there, old buddy? Did we find the doctor? Evidently not. Okay, calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And I had a notice given to me yesterday by my dear friend George Mass, and I want to hit this. It's a month away, but I want you to be aware of it. It's going to be a benefit dinner for Deanne Garner, and it's going to be at the Rupert Senior Center on April 11th from 4 to 6 p.m. It's only $10 per person, spaghetti, salad, rolls, dessert, coffee, the whole shooting match. And to help this nice lady, Deanne Garner. Benefit dinner on April 11th at the Rupert Senior Center. Wheels, did we find our guest? And we can't find Wheels. Don't know what happened to him. Once again, calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. One of the things that Deanne and I noticed the other night, we were watching some of the old reruns from back in the 60s of the Andy of Mayberry, you know, the Andy Griffith Show. And we've talked about this in the past, but I think it's worth mentioning again. that, the characters on that show and the writing of that show and the humor in that show, just using that as an example, there were others of that era that were just as good and just as funny. But Otis and Aunt Bee, Barney, Opie, the whole shooting match, why can't and why shouldn't there be some shows of that nature and written that way without all the sexual innuendos and all the sleaze and all the garbage? Why couldn't they do something like that today? I still maintain that a show like that with the humor and really honestly well-written programs would go today, and we don't need all the garbage that's being put into those programs. Wheels, did we find our guest?
I had just finally found him, but I have to call him at a third number this time because he's not at his office. So,
all right, quickly do that and let me know. Thank you.
Okay.
So good old Detective Wheels has finally found our doctor that is also a best-selling author of the book Hypothyroidism, Health and Happiness. Well, we're going to be talking to him this morning about the coronavirus and things to do, things not to do, how big a fear it really is. Should we all be running into a cave and pulling the rock in after us and all that kind of thing? So hopefully Wheels has got him on this other number and we can get him on the air. It's just all part of live radio and trying to find some of these guests after we have a different number given to us. Wheels, is he there?
yes, sir, he is.
All right, thank you. Once again, after my most elaborate introduction of a few minutes ago, we'll try it again. We have the founder and CEO of the Holtz Health and Wellness Center in Houston, Texas, Dr. Stephen Holtz. And if I said your name wrong, please correct me.
Zeb, great to visit with you. It's Hotze, H-O-T-Z-E, and it's Hotze Health and Wellness Center in Houston, Texas, where we help people regain and maintain health and wellness naturally without pharmaceutical drugs.
There you go.
Glad to be here with you. We've been doing this for 30 years down here, and I do natural approaches to health. Although I was trained conventionally at the University of Texas in Houston Med School, I decided that God's given the body amazing restorative power. You put the right molecules in it, you know what? It'll get well, and we sure found that out.
Amen.
And that's why I'm interested in this whole issue of the coronavirus, helping you and your listening audience, one, get over the frenetic thinking that people have, this hysterical thinking they have about, like, Chicken Little. You know, remember Chicken Little? Well, this is what you see with all the media running around going, the sky's falling, we're all going to die of the coronavirus. Oh, my gosh, they're shutting down schools. NBA is going to play without people in the stands. They shut Southwest down in Austin. The world is coming to an end as we know it, if you listen to the media, and everybody's scared about that. So I want everybody, including you, Zeb, to take a deep breath and blow out slowly and relax, because we're going to talk about the facts, and you can make a decision for yourself whether you really need to be concerned about this in the way the media and certain politicians are, whether you don't.
Well, Doctor, I'll tell you right straight up, for the last hour on this program, if you'd have listened to the first hour, you'd have heard me say almost verbatim what you just said. I am sick and tired of people yelling and screaming, the sky is falling, the Chicken Little syndrome, like you said. Everybody is casting aspersions on the president. It's your fault, we're all going to be diminished into nothing but rubble.
It's just, sir, all this is planned out. The whole deal is, one of the things they want to do, you look at what's been stopped. About a month and a half ago, they had 1 million people in the streets in Hong Kong demonstrating against communism. Mm-hmm. Are they there anymore?
Nope.
No. They had them in tens of thousands in France and in Italy demonstrating against the government. Are they there anymore? No. They're shutting. What about Iran and all the people that were marching in the streets against the government? They're not there. What about the Donald Trump rallies? Are they going to have those? I don't think so. Not if the media has anything to do with it, because if one person has the coronavirus like they did at the CPAC, which was a conservative political action meeting they had in Washington, everybody has to go get quarantined. It's totally crazy. So, folks, let me give you the facts, and you can decide whether you think I'm right in thinking that the media is crazy, and most people are like sheeple. They're being herded right up to the cliff's edge and going to run off. Don't let that happen. Here are the facts.
As of yesterday, the Center for Disease Control said on their website, you can look at it, this is as of yesterday afternoon, there had been 424 presumptive cases of coronavirus in the U.S. with 19 deaths. Now, it might be 100 more today. There may be 3 or 4 more deaths. I don't know. But that's what they had yesterday. 423, and these are presumptive, not even confirmed cases with 19 deaths. Does that sound like a terrible epidemic? Well, you might say, well, it's just getting started. Did you know, Zeb and listening audience, that there is a terrible infectious disease epidemic that's been going on since October 1st that has killed tens of thousands of Americans? Do you know what that is? I bet most people can't even name it.
I can, and I will. It's called the flu.
The flu virus. According to the Center for Disease Control, by the way, the flu, it's not just the flu virus. We have a flu epidemic in America every year, and we have for decades. Approximately 50,000 people die every year in the United States from the flu. 50,000, that's one Vietnam. Deaths of all the people in Vietnam in the war, all in 1 year, every year. That's a serious problem. Why didn't anybody, okay, so this year it says up to February 22nd, October 1st, February 22nd, the CDC released its results. We still have time, but there's going to be more flu season. It said upwards of 45 million people have had the flu in the United States. 45 million. Oh, we've had 424 cases of coronavirus. 45 million people, million, have had the flu virus. 560,000 have been hospitalized. Upwards of 45,000 have died already. That's a serious epidemic. If we treated the flu the way we treat the coronavirus, then starting October 1st, nobody would leave their homes. There would be no school. There would be no churches, services. There would be no basketball events or other events going on. People wouldn't congregate because we could catch the flu. But we've grown to live with the flu. We know every year people are going to get the flu. You know, you may not show up for your radio program, and what are they going to say? Well, they're going to say, Zeb had the flu. He's not in this week. Nobody's going to get all upset. Nobody's going to go into quarantine about it at your office. You just got the flu.
That's right. That's right.
Why do we do that? Well, we say, because we got treatments for the flu and vaccine. Well, if the vaccine for the flu was really good, why do we have 50,000 people dying every year of the flu? The flu vaccine is made up of the flu viruses at the time the vaccine is made, and that's the viruses from this last year. But the viruses mutate into different strains, so what you're getting vaccinated against is not going to be the same strain that's coming out the next year. You follow that?
Yes.
So you're going to get the flu.
Yes.
50% of the people that had the flu had flu vaccines, and it didn't work. So that just tells you government, all the vaccines in the world aren't going to stop the flu any more than they're going to stop the coronavirus. Right now, there's nothing you can do for the coronavirus as far as medication, or there's no vaccination. And even if you got the vaccination, the season's going to be over here shortly. As soon as the weather heats up, it's all over. You know, all this is going to be crazy. I mean, all of it's going to be gone, and everybody's going to look back and say, well, that was a lot to do about nothing, wasn't it? Well, because we've had this before. This isn't the first coronavirus ever. This is COVID-19, number 19. The SARS, the severe acute respiratory syndrome disorder in 2002, the Middle East respiratory syndrome disorder in 2012 were both coronaviruses. The coronavirus is the virus that causes the flu. One strain of it, not the flu, but causes colds. So there are different strains of the coronavirus, just like there are different strains of the flu virus. Some are more serious, cause more damage than others. This may or may not be worse than some of the other ones we've had, but right now indications are really they're not. Even in China, it seems to have leveled off. They have 80 to 90,000 cases. There may be another 200,000 or 300,000 cases of people that had a mild case, never went to the doctor. After all, it's a communist country, poor hygiene, poor medical care, poor reporting. We don't really know what's going on. How do we know that some of these people didn't die, just had the flu? We don't know. We just are now in the United States getting the testing available on a standardized testing. It hasn't been available. Who knows how many have really had it? It's like the flu. You get it, you stay at home, you eat your chicken soup, you take some aspirin or Tylenol for your fever, and you kind of live through it and you get back out. Well, who's going to get the disease? Is it the average person like you and me, Zeb, that gets it? No. It's going to be the sick, the infirm, the debilitated, the elderly that have health problems like chronic obstructive lung disease. Maybe they smoked all their lives. Maybe they got congestive heart failure. They got diabetes. They're overweight. They're in poor health. People that are in poor health tend to attract these viruses and bacteria and get sick. 90% of the population never gets the flu. Mind you, right now, even if we had 10,000 cases of the coronavirus and 1,000 deaths, that pales compared to the flu. The flu has had 45 million with 45,000 deaths. That's what people should be concerned about. So here's what you do, Zeb. People are saying, what do I do then? Get healthy, for crying out loud. Take charge of your health. The government's not in charge of your health. Bernie Sanders is not in charge of your health. Your insurance company, your doctor, your spouse, nobody's in charge of your health but you. Take charge of it. Here's what you ought to do. A, B, C, D, Z. Make sure you're on a high dose of vitamin A in a B-complex formula, vitamin B-complex. Take vitamin C. I recommend and always have for decades 6,000 milligrams a day. And vitamin D during season, at least 10,000 units a day, plus zinc, 50 milligrams a day. I happen to have Dr. Hotze's Immune Pack at HotzeVitamins.com. You can order a 30-day supply. Build up your immune system if you're not taking vitamins and minerals. That's HotzeVitamins.com. That's what I'd recommend doing. Or go to a store near your house. We've got it here, but get yourself, and then eat healthy. Cut out all the crappy food that we eat, the fast foods. Get yourself on a whole food eating program, eating good, like Grandmama said, eat your broccoli, son. Yes, ma'am, before you eat any dessert. Eat healthy, cut out the simple carbs, because the simple carbs convert to sugar, and that also depresses the immune system. Those are some things you can do, and get plenty of exercise, and the vast majority, 90% of the population is going to do fine. This is going to pass. It shall pass shortly. Probably in the next couple of months it'll all be over. But
absolutely. I agree. But there's one thing that's going to linger, Doctor, and I don't think you'll dispute my analysis on this, and that is the death of common sense. This is something that's happening in this country.
Sir, what we need an epidemic. And you might say, well, that's heretical for a doctor. No, we need an epidemic in America, an epidemic of common sense, and we have never had one as far as I know. Right now, people are being herded, and there's a reason for this. The media is doing this because they want you to take your eye off the ball of what Trump has been trying to do.
That's right.
He's trying to destroy the deep state. They got to pull out every stop they can to destroy him. So now all of a sudden, it's the New York Times says it's the Trump virus. Washington Post says it's Trump's Katrina. Like Trump caused this virus to come in here? Really? Well, look. And the government's going to stop it. They gave $8.2 billion to stop the virus. How are they going to do that? Really? You can't. If the government could stop the virus, we wouldn't have the flu anymore. Please.
What about the fact that the government and others, whether it's the schools like Harvard that are canceling classes or NASCAR considering by canceling some of their races, the NCAA basketball tournament, again, common sense.
It's overreacting to the point that this is mass hysteria. It just is mass. That's all you can say it is. And we saw it before. We saw it with the SARS in 2002. We remember the anthrax scare. Then we had the SARS. Then we had the bird flu virus. President Bush said 2 million Americans are going to die of the bird flu virus. Nobody died of the bird flu virus at all. Then we had the swine flu. Then we had MERS. Then we had Ebola. Then we had Zika. It's election year, sir. And the opposite side wants to bring down the man. They want to blame Trump on this. They don't want any more Trump rallies. So if we cancel everything else, how can Trump have a rally? If one person came down with the coronavirus at a rally, they say he's spreading coronas all over the world and causing an epidemic. You know, he can't hardly win to lose, poor guy. I mean, what
do you think is good going to come?
69.
Well, I'm 72.
Over and over again. And it's the media trying to disrupt your thinking and, raising up a straw man over here to make you all worried about it. Well, all these other things are going on in the background.
Absolutely. What do you think good?
Thought about it. And people can say, well, Doc, you may be right, may be wrong, but that's just my take on it, and that's what I'm just talking from experience of 69 years being involved in this stuff.
Well, I'm 72 years old, Doctor. I'm a little older than you, but I think that there will be, if it's allowed, some good that will come out of this virus scare, and a lot of these people spreading all the misnomers and setting their hair on fire. Again, it might be the opening of common sense in this country to look back and say, wait a minute, we listened to all these scare tactics, and nothing came to fruition.
Exactly. That's what's going to happen. And you know who Zeb, I'm proud of you for being willing to stand up and say that. How's everything up in the Redoubt, by the way?
Well, everything is great, but I tell you what, in this conservative part of the country, I'm preaching a lot to the choir, but when I look around the United States, I really wonder how the United States people could be this naive and accept this much stupidity.
Because they just turn on the TV every night and listen to this, okay? So who is going to promote this deal? Because they want to bring down Trump. They want to bring down the economy. They want to beat Trump. That's the long and the short of it. That's why this is being promoted. And why is Fox News talking about it? Well, because everybody's watching CNN, NBC, and CBS, and ABC trying to find out what happened to the coronavirus. We better get on board or we're going to lose our listening audience. It has caused a dramatic increase in the listening audience. We're selling newspapers like crazy. What crisis, what did Saul Alinsky say? Never let a good crisis go unused, So this is a crisis, and the other side's going to use it for everything they've got and try to scare the American public. And by golly, look, I'm going to give you one last thought. I'm a Bible-believing Christian, and there's a verse in the Bible that says God has not given us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. So use your sound mind, think rationally, think factually, look at the reality of things, and use common sense. Don't get uploaded by all these, media wackos that want you to think the sky's falling in and the end of the world is at hand.
Amen. You are a blessing to this program, founder and CEO of the Hotze Health and Wellness Center in Houston, Texas. Dr. Stephen Hotze, thank you. God bless you, and I'll call you to come back in the future. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Zeb, God bless you, and you guys do well up there, you hear?
All right, sir. Thank you much. Ladies and gentlemen, that is exactly what I thought he would talk about and exactly what I appreciate. We've got to get rid of this Chicken Little syndrome. Oh, everything's going to, where in a handbasket. No, it's not. No, it's not. He just gave the perfect analogy again. We're not that concerned about the flu bug. We don't seem to be caring about all the funeral hearses that are taking people to the graveyard, thousands upon thousands because of the flu. And now all of a sudden the sky is falling because of the coronavirus. Folks, don't be swayed, don't be cowed, don't be led by the nose by this left-wing stupidity trying to destroy common sense. Caller, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'll make a deal with you. If you will be so gracious to let me get the weather forecast on quickly so I don't get in trouble, I'll take your call right after it's over. Don't go away. Please stay right there. Weather forecast this hour brought to you by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. It's tax time. Nobody wants to hear that, but it's the truth. And the best people working for you, the professionals, are Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. They are the best at what they do with offices in Burley and Rupert. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's Scotty with the weather.
Looks to be a pretty nice day today. Good morning with your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron. Sunshine today and a high of 53. For tonight, mostly clear, 27 the low. Sunny and 57 for Wednesday. And then Wednesday night, mostly clear. Wind's going to pick up just a little bit, expecting a low of 30 for Thursday. Mostly sunny and a high of 51. Thursday night, mostly clear with a low of 25. Friday, sunshine and 54. However, Saturday, chance of rain and snow and a high of 53. That's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. Have a great day.
Oh, Scott, man, good job. Thank you very much. And the weather brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And I'll tell you what, they can help anybody, their family, and their business with the very best of tax return preparations, tax planning, retirement planning, and the list goes on with the professionals serving you. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Houston is blue, and he's right there in the midst of it. And I wanted to try to call him and talk to him about it. Of course, it would have been off the subject. But, there are people in Texas just like him that are common sense. And you say to yourself, thank God, because, like I said, certain parts of Texas are trying to slip into the dark side. And, he was so right. And then he even brought up Fox News because, they just disappoint you. But, everything he said was so great. I sure appreciate it. It's nice to have him on. Thanks.
You, Randy, are very welcome, and I'm very appreciative that Dr. Hotze took the time. We finally found him. It was a little bit of a search and seizure, thanks to Wheels finding him, but he told it like it is, and I just hope that people will start thinking about common sense.
Well, like I said last week, if you take a good bacteria probiotic, which is 75% of your immune system is in your stomach, your gut. I don't know how that works, but I know it works. And then if you're concerned about it, you take 2,000 milligrams of a powdered vitamin C, and then, even just raw, even if you just eat garlic, bulbs, squeeze them down and take the oil or eat it in your food. And then try to get some sleep. If you get over 6 hours of sleep, your immune system is way better off.
Absolutely.
If you don't get sleep, and you are at risk. And so I don't know, but you're right. This thing is such an overhyped thing. I just would like to somehow hope it dwindles away. But every day, at the top of the hour, our favorite friends are perpetuating the BS, aren't they?
I couldn't agree more. Randy, God bless you for your call. I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you so much. As I've stated on this program many, many times, about 3-4 months ago, Deanna and I became familiar with 7K metals and started having silver purchases sent right to our home. Well, you can help build yourself your financial security and future by talking to the good folks at 7K Metals. Absolutely. Silver purchases that are a great saving opportunity for you and a valued treasure for your loved ones in the future. I really urge you to call Lon Hardy at 312-8699 or Sharon Wilmot at 430-3259 and tell them I told you to call, please, and find out more about building your financial security and future through 7K Metals. Absolutely interesting and well worth your time. You give them a call today. We're getting ready for the next hour, and the next hour is going to include Dr. History as he's just walked into our studio and be ready to go in about 7 minutes. You stay tuned. Zeb at the Ranch on a Tuesday. We'll be right back. Wheels, take it away, old buddy. Oh, my goodness. Sitting here in the studio with a stranger that occasionally shows up, and he's here today, and that's our dear friend, Dr. History. And, excuse me, we're going to have him on the air with us in just a moment. I want to remind you, too, that we're brought to you by your major sponsor of this program, and we really salute them, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with right now their Thinking Spring with a great big spring tire sale. You stop in and see them today. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And, of course, we don't want to forget our friends at Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Oh, my goodness, what a beautiful location. Have you seen it? Well, I tell you what, you better call the number, 650-4979. Talk to Matt and Kelly Wiggins and ask if you're a senior and you're really interested in finding a wonderful place to live with your friends, a 12-bedroom home, my goodness, with 3 meals a day, snacks, housekeeping, local transportation. This is it. And that's, of course, Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. That number again, 650-4979. Seniors living the good life with friends. And a couple of old fogies that are sitting in the studio this morning. I guess we're under the terminology of seniors ourselves. Good morning, Dr. History.
Good morning, Senior Zeb.
Well, senior.
And I'm right there, too.
Senior doctor.
Yeah. It's okay. It's all good.
Well, you know, every day that you come on this program on Tuesdays, excuse me for the frog in my throat, and you have a different story, etc., and a lot of people stop me and they say, well, what's he going to talk about this week? Are you going to talk about old gunfighters, or are you going to talk about old stagecoach holdups or whatever? What about today?
Today, we're going to talk about, and I'm going to step out on a limb, somebody nobody has heard about.
Oh, really?
But he was a bad guy.
Really?
Okay, so here's what happened. On June 3rd, 1881, the newspaper called the Sedan Times of Southeast Kansas, published in his paper, said, quote, last Saturday, while Willie Chadburn was gathering strawberries a short distance south of town, he was bitten on the hand by a copperhead snake. The boy has now entirely recovered. And as I go along here, you're probably going to say, maybe he should have not have recovered.
Oh, really?
Okay.
That was Willie?
That's little Willie Chadburn.
Oh.
Okay, so in 1880, John W. Chadburn, they called him Willie, was the second son of 5 children born to William and Molasse Chadburn. He was a Civil War veteran. Mm-hmm. Anyway, she ran a boarding house, and they were a law-abiding, God-fearing couple. They tried to raise their kids to follow suit, but Willie was the proverbial black sheep.
Really?
Of the family.
Oh.
And you'll see what I mean.
Okay.
Now, Willie started out by being kind of a troublemaker because he tended to skip school a little bit. Maybe more than a little bit.
Did you ever do that?
I refuse to answer that on account of my grandkids might be listening. So, well, let me just put it this way. I grew up on a farm. My dad was a school teacher, so there were days when Dad would pull me out of school to go sit on a tractor for the day, which I was more than happy to do.
I'll bet you were.
Yeah. So here we are. Let's get back. July 1891. Willie is now 22 years old, and he made the jump from being kind of a local knothead to a career criminal. The night of the 27th, he accosted a guy by the name of Dick Cornell, robbing him of a watch and a chain worth $200. Mm-hmm. Okay. A week later, after robbing Cornell, Chadburn stole a fine carriage horse, saddle, and bridle belonging to a guy named Frank Clark. Around 9:30 p.m. on August 22nd, the Times-Journal reported James Knox Tulos was closing his drug hardware store when 2 men entered in perhaps the only crime in which Willie didn't take the lead. Chadburn covered the door. The other man, likely a guy named, a buddy of his named Bob Dunn, who was also kind of a crook, he had a pistol, and he said, throw up your hands, he ordered, and give us what money you have. And Chadburn yelled to him, he says, blow his brains out if he doesn't obey.
Really?
Yeah. So they were serious. Well, the store owner promptly handed over his cash drawer, which contained about $15 in cash. And the 2 robbers fled. The city marshal went out looking for him. He came up empty, couldn't find him. Chadburn kind of laid low for a few days, old Willie. And then on August 26th, he started that Saturday evening's festivities by riding into the town of Sedan. And it says, after filling up on joint juice, haven't quite...
Joint juice.
I don't think I've heard it referred to as that before.
Well, it was for medicinal purposes only.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
Well, Will rode through town, firing off his pistols at every jump of his horse. He then galloped off towards a town called Chautauqua. about 8 miles to the south. And a half mile down the road, he met a life insurance man named J.G. Lewis.
This has got to be good.
Yeah. And pulling a pistol, he demanded the latter to, quote, dig up. I assume that means give me your money.
Yeah.
Lewis handed over a little more than $15, and Willie Chadburn continued on his way. A little farther along, Will encountered farmer Charlie Moore and also stopped him. Well, Moore only had about 35 cents in silver, so he let him go. Okay. Now, Sheriff Hartzell and Under Sheriff Taylor tracked Chadburn, and before losing his trail, Will had cut east, and though hardly richer, he had fully embarked on the, now here's another term, the Owl Hoot Trail.
Oh, I've heard that.
Have you?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, there's
All
even a movie with that name.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now he's a fugitive from justice. He's a pretty well, he's an outlaw now. And his spree made regional headlines. Will had been, quote, anxious to be known as a desperado and has assumed the name of Billy the Kid.
Oh, he assumed Billy the Kid's name?
Yeah.
What state was this in, by the way?
Kansas.
It was in Kansas.
Yeah. So Will headed for another place over there called Coffeyville. He fell in with a guy named Hidrick and Shepard. Now, this was a pair of Arkansas fugitives, and with his new partners, Chadburn graduated to big-time crime by robbing the St. Louis-San Francisco railway train at Mound Valley in Labette County. Shepard, one of his partners, killed the express messenger in the process.
Wow.
Now, they're in deep.
They're in trouble.
Yeah. Well, it netted the robbers $32.60 each.
They're not really big-time
No.
robbers, are they?
He surfaced again in September. The Cedar Vale Star newspaper report of a recent saloon incident said this, quote, the six-shooter was Trump's and took the pot. It began relating how a gun-wielding stranger, claiming he'd been cheated at cards, cleaned off the table, politely backed himself out of the saloon, and rode off. Well,
now, was that Willie?
Yeah. The paper identified the stranger as Willie Chadburn. Okay. Now, officers had arrested the other fugitives in Dexter, the two guys that were in on the train robbery, and transported them to a jail at Oswego. There, the detectives convinced, well, they caught Willie, too. So they've got all three.
How did Willie go this long if they knew it was him?
Well, he didn't go very long. They figured it out. But anyway, the detectives convinced Willie to take a plea bargain in exchange for confessing to the train robbery and ratting on his partners. So Will received a 10-year sentence in the state pen at Lansing. Hidrick and Shepard, whom officers also had rounded up by now, were sentenced to be hung.
Oh.
So they were pretty much done.
Yeah.
Now, Willie's capture gave him the notoriety he'd been wanting to find, and the Oswego Independent newspaper reported, quote, entitled him to rank with the notorious Daltons and the Star Gang. Defense attorney John D. McBrien suggested his client had, quote, desire to emulate the deeds of those famed outlaws.
Oh, yes.
He just wanted to make a name for himself.
Why didn't he call himself Willie the Kid?
That's a good question. He's dead.
Yeah.
Don't know. Well, anyway, Willie was no model prisoner. On his arrival at the Oswego jail, authorities searched Will and found a steel saw skillfully hidden in the folds of his hat.
Oh, my.
And another sewed into the lining of a shoe. He attempted 2 jailbreaks there, once busting the lock on the corridor door, the other time cutting through bars with a saw he concealed in his shirt.
Where did he get this stuff?
I don't know. So here it is, August, where it's 1896. A little more than 2 years into his term at Lansing, he made an escape. During a Sunday church service attended by outside visitors, Will got permission to visit the privy.
You got to be kidding.
Instead, he slipped into the tailor shop where he had been working, exchanged his prisoner uniform for some civilian duds, returned to the chapel, joined the congregation, enjoyed the sermon. When service wrapped up, he walked straight out of the gate past a substitute guard who didn't know him, and his freedom was short-lived. The next morning, a railroad crew found the exhausted fugitive sleeping along the tracks about 3 miles away.
So he really wasn't bright.
He wasn't bright. Okay, so moving ahead, March 12th, 1902. 2 years short of his full sentence, the man, the Leavenworth Times, once described as, quote, the most desperate and nervy man ever incarcerated at the state penitentiary went free. So he only spent 8 years. Well, the ex-con soon abandoned any plans he may have had to follow the straight and narrow. On Sunday morning, December 28th, he and a partner burglarized a safe at the post office in Mulhall, Oklahoma Territory. Once again, he didn't get much. Despite initial reports saying they had over $10,000, they only got about $250 and $150 in postage stamps. Okay.
Well, they could have sent a lot of people a lot of letters.
Well, when the latter stole 2 horses from a nearby farm, the farmer's wife sounded the alarm. A bunch of mad farmers pursued the men, soon joined by a posse of federal marshals and local lawmen, and they were headed by Sheriff George Foster. So that evening, the lawmen drove the outfit out of hiding along the railroad. Now, the Wichita Daily Eagle reported, quote, but were unable to capture them till after a long fight. It says, though the parties exchanged dozens of shots, the only casualty was one of the stolen horses. The arresting authorities didn't recognize Chad Byrne. Okay, they didn't know who he was.
Oh, so they didn't recognize who they were going after.
No.
I see.
So they captured what they were told was a guy named James Marks, Willie. Another guy, William Evans, Bob. The officers recovered the $100, 4 new Colt revolvers, and the surviving horse. They transported the fugitives to a jail in Guthrie. They were tried by federal court. The pair pleaded guilty to burglary, and the judge sentenced each to 3 years of hard labor at the federal penitentiary in Leavenworth.
Now, this is Willie and Bob.
Yeah.
Okay.
Under assumed names.
Yeah.
So they arrived there, and as luck would have it, a Leavenworth guard who had known Willie recognized him as the former Willie Chadburn.
Don't they ever, or didn't they ever do background checks?
I don't know. I mean, it was before fingerprints.
Yeah.
Anyway, now, despite a notation on his prison record that he not be paroled on account of being a professional criminal, Chadburn earned credits for good time and walked out of Leavenworth on July 5th, 1905. During his latest stretch in prison, he'd exchanged letters with a guy named Madgen.
I got a feeling this isn't going to be good.
Okay. He was a con. He was only in his mid-20s when Will met him in jail at Guthrie. Immediately on his release, Chadburn arranged a rendezvous with this younger buddy named Madgen. Well, the two met in south central Kansas, and on July 8th, they traveled east to a place called Winfield, and strolling into the Breton House, which is a boarding house.
Yeah.
At 1 a.m. on the 10th, the pair robbed the night porter and a group of travelers that were playing cards in the hotel. So now they got a whopping $76.45.
Man, they're high-time people, aren't they?
Well, the robbers then headed afoot for a place called Cedar Vale, 30 miles to the southeast. In Cedar Vale, on the evening of July 12th, the Atchison, Topeka, and the Santa Fe Railroad detective Frank Calhoun. Now remember him. We're going to tell about what happens to him.
All right.
But he just stepped off from the train in search of a place to stay, and he noticed these 2 shady-looking characters walking through the train yard. Okay, and on reaching the Baird House, a boarding house again, a few blocks from the station, Calhoun overheard a man outside the hotel telling the story about the Winfield holdup. Well, his description of the robbers matched the men on the detective Calhoun had just seen, so he headed for the sheriff's office, and he got the sheriff, or Marshal Butler, and they went out looking. They couldn't find him. Well, early the next morning, Sheriff Butler spotted the guys walking through town. So he grabbed Calhoun, the detective.
Yep.
They got a Surrey. They were driving. They got a livery man named William Thompson, and they soon went out on the road in this Surrey, and they passed the 2 guys. All right? And
no, they passed them.
Yeah, they passed them, and that's when they confirmed who they really were.
Oh.
Now, Calhoun suggested that Thompson drive down the road a little farther and then turn around and approach the 2 guys from behind. Okay, so you got the picture. We got 3 guys in a Surrey, and the 2 outlaws walking in front of them with their backs.
I see.
So the fugitives were wise to them, however, and as the Surrey drew near, Chadburn spun around, opened fire, and in this brief, hot skirmish that followed, the outlaws' first 2 rounds struck Calhoun.
Uh-oh.
Detective Calhoun.
Uh-oh.
One of the llama's bullets grazed Willie's forehead. No one else was hit. The outlaws got away. Calhoun was taken into a doctor, and he died half hour later.
Now, did the bad boys, Willie and Bob, did they have horses?
No, they were just walking.
They were on foot.
Yeah, but somehow they still got away, and I'm assuming maybe they were just... Marshall Butler may have been trying to get Calhoun to a doctor, get him taken care of.
Okay.
So, but anyway, stealing horses from a nearby livery, Willie Chadburn and Madigan lit out for a place called Hewins, 7 miles to the southeast. Now, Will pulled what would be his final holdup. He forced a passerby named Ed Claypool to swap his horse for one of the stolen horses. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Sheriff Butler hurried to a local hardware store to get more arms and ammunition, and by now we have telephones, all right?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
this is in the early 1900s.
Okay.
And he telephoned authorities in the next town, Hewins, to be on the lookout for these 2 guys.
Willie and Bob.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, by the time the fugitive reached Hewins, a group of citizens, alerted by Sheriff Marshall Butler's call, had assembled a welcome committee.
Oh, I'll bet it was.
Chadburn and Madigan first stopped at a hardware store to obtain an extra pistol and cartridges at gunpoint. Now, here's what's weird, Zeb. They insisted on paying for the items. I mean, they weren't rich. They held it up at gunpoint, but they still paid for what they took.
That is weird.
So, outside, they got back on their horses, and they asked a bystander to point out the drugstore, explaining they wanted some whiskey. Well, by then, the posse had started toward them on foot from Jim Pope's mercantile store.
Now, they're out in front of the store?
Yeah,
okay.
On horses.
Okay.
And now the posse is just on foot. But they've got guns.
Okay.
Now, catching sight of them, Chadburn and Madigan now this is another term I'd never heard, pulled iron.
Oh, yeah. Big iron.
Yeah, pulled iron, wheeled their horses and spurred.
Marty Robbins, big iron on their hip.
And they spurred forward with a war whoop. They ignored Pope's hollered warning, and at that point, the shooting started. The posse opened fire from the position of the store. The robbers returned the fire. The fight was short. Madigan was shot from the saddle, hit the ground dead. Chadburn fell badly wounded and immediately surrendered.
That was a good move.
You know, he's on the ground bleeding.
Yeah.
I would think you'd probably say, okay,
I give up.
I give up. Okay, so here he is, Willie, suffering a half-dozen bullet and buckshot wounds to his abdomen, hip, and leg, as well as a grazing wound to his head. Chadburn was returned to Cedar Vale, where a doctor treated him. Possibly realizing the end was near, Will discussed his crimes and with the deputies assigned to guard him, just told his whole story about his life of crime. Well, by the following morning, Chadburn was stable enough to travel, and Sheriff Wilson...
By the next morning?
Yeah. I mean, he's full of holes.
If he'd have drank something, he'd
have leaked. So the sheriff transported him to the jail at Sedan. His mother and sisters visited him several times as his condition got worse. By noon on July 16th, he was fading. Around 4 p.m., the doctor told his patient he likely wouldn't live until morning. Well, minutes later, he checked Chadburn's pulse, and opening his eyes, Will smiled and said, quote, "You haven't got me yet, Doc." An hour later, he died.
Oh, my.
Will Chadburn, the self-styled Billy the Kid of Kansas, never made a name. Folks, if you've heard of this guy, let me know. Cause
I've never heard of that guy. And really, it doesn't sound to me like everything you pointed out. Well, he really didn't rob for any kind of profit whatsoever.
No. Now, let me show you a picture of him. Look at this. I mean, he doesn't even look like a bad guy. He looks like a 16-year-old kid.
How old was he when that picture was taken?
I don't know. But it says he started his life of crime at age 22. So.
Oh, my goodness. What a waste.
Yeah. So he was.
And that was Wild Willie right there.
That was Wild Willie. And then, I thought it was pretty unique that he went to church and, changed clothes.
No, he went to the outhouse and changed clothes.
Well, he got, he was probably getting some inspiration from the preaching that was going on.
Where did you find this guy, Willie? That's interesting.
This actually came out of a magazine called Wild West.
Oh, my goodness sakes.
Yeah. So
and they got his picture there and everything.
Yeah, and let me just show you another quick picture. This is the Leavenworth prison It says coal mine, Kansas State Penitentiary.
Yeah.
I mean, that looks like a pretty rough place to be.
Pretty cold.
Yeah,
pretty cold.
I can't imagine that being a comfortable place to be locked up.
Wow. So that's the saga of Willie
Chadburn.
Willie Chadburn.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate your digging into these various stories. That was a good one. I enjoyed that.
Well, it's too bad the copperhead snake didn't have a little more effect on the boy.
And old Bob, he met his demise right there.
Yeah, he's gone.
He's gone. He got shot quite a few times.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
You know, does it ever, like in the Jesse James gang up in Northfield, Minnesota, remember that where the city was waiting for him?
Yeah.
You'd wonder how these guys didn't figure out that something wasn't quite right.
And there were some smart outlaws. There's some that, figured out how to do things. I mean, you look about, Butch Cassidy, those guys had horses stationed at various places so they could trade horses and outrun the posse. So there was some pretty smart guys, but there's some pretty dumb guys
Think about how far they would have been if they'd applied the intelligence they had to doing something right.
Right. Yeah, what more could they have done?
I mean, holy smokes. What are we going to do next week?
That's a great question.
Oh.
I won't know until about next Sunday.
Oh, okay. Doctor of History, you've done it again. Piqued my interest on that story. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most listened to segments on my program, and that's Dr. History. We always appreciate him being here, and we'll look forward to his next saga of the Old West. By the way, I want to remind you, too, about Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. Don't forget, these are wonderful people, Curtis and Lorena serving you, and they've got electronic items there that I haven't a clue what they do or how they're used. They've got everything, and if you're into electronics and all these little gizmos and everything else, are you gonna love this store. Let me tell you, Patterson's Electronics, they've got all the car stereos and speakers, the home theater systems, the video surveillance cameras, they've got everything. I mean, they just are getting in all kinds of new models of car audio systems, all the TVs, and they're open Monday through Saturday 9 to 6. You'd better stop in and see them today. Patterson's Electronics, and they're located at 421 East Main in Burley, and they're open Monday through Saturday 9 to 6. Right now, we're going to send it back over to our main studio. I'll be back in just a matter of minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb back.
Oh, thank you. Beautiful, beautiful day outside. Good morning to you. And don't forget the great big, really huge sale that's going on right now at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Oh, boy. If you don't know where they're located, let me tell you, 459 Overland in Burley, and this huge sale involves all their furniture, the recliners, the sofas, love seats, dining room sets, all the flooring and the carpet and the mattresses. My goodness, you should be warming up the car right now. Get on down to 459 Overland in Burley, Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Almost everything on sale, and you can really comfortize and beautify your home. Stop in and see Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More today. Well, our next guest is the founder of LaCourte News with the motto of news unspun, talk uncensored. I love that because that's what this program is all about. Good morning, Ken LaCourte. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Zeb.
You're welcome, my friend. And I'm just going to start off by saying this. And if you don't agree, go ahead and chime in. I think all of this baloney, and I cleaned up my verbiage, about the coronavirus is absolutely silly and frivolous and absolutely destroying our markets and our sense of value in this country. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think you and I are probably going to get along.
Okay.
With the boy who cried wolf, you never want to be completely dismissive because there are wolves out there and there are viruses that can do bad things. But the way that the media is handling this and pumping this up and counting the deaths one by one, let me just give you one kind of point of reference. Could you imagine if over the next 3 months The infected people go up to 59 million. Hospitalized, 250,000 people and 12,000 people die of this. And what that would happen to Trump's presidency, how the media would react, we would be in a state of panic for months. Then go onto Wikipedia and Google 2009 flu pandemic in the United States.
Yep.
And you'll see that's exactly what happened. When that we literally had, it was a strain of H1N1. We had 59 million people infected. We had 12,000 people die. And none of this happened. I mean, we reported it. It was out there. But there was no such thing as hourly and daily things for months as thousands of Americans died. And that's what the media does. The media can spin reality to a way that people don't recognize what's going on.
Ken, and by the way, Wheels over at the station, turn Mr. LaCourte up just a little bit in my headsets, if you would, please. Ken, why, and I know this sounds simplistic, but why have we as Americans and consumers of the news, why have we been so naive about what's going on with the coronavirus?
Well, part of it is that the media has gone from, the national media has gone from just kind of standard liberal and liberally biased over the years to just kind of out of control. We've never seen in our lifetimes, and I'm 55, we've never seen the national news media try so hard to unelect a president. And part of that, the way that the media is now being delivered a lot more on the internet, where every single headline has to sell a story. Part of that is just because standards have changed on them. Part of it is because the economics have changed. Newspapers and TV stations aren't necessarily a way just to print money, and they didn't have to try that hard. So the media has gone literally off the rails in the past handful of years. The president's not wrong when he calls it fake news. But the funny thing about that phrase is you can lie by telling the truth. You can lie by leaving out facts, by emphasizing some, and that's how the media does it. They don't really make up a whole lot of stuff. They just put such a spin on it that, you can lie through telling absolutely true facts.
Ken, when you look at this overall situation right now, today on March 10th, and what's been done, what's been said, what's been purported to be about the coronavirus, etc., what do you think is the long-term effect on the re-election of Donald Trump? Are we at a point of no return where the left and the liberals are winning, or what's your status on this?
One of the things that he did bring America was a pointed notion of this. I mean, even liberals kind of got their first taste of it when he got elected, because they were like, wait a second, there was no chance that was going to happen. How did this happen? And then, of course, we sat through 2 years of Russiagate that turned out to be a big nothing burger. We sat through, we heard we were going to go to war with Korea. We heard we were going to go to World War III because we killed a terrible person in Iran. I think that a good half of the country now says, yeah, I can read it in the New York Times and I can see it on NBC, and I just don't believe it. And I don't know how they're fooling me, but I know they are, and those Americans are right. So I think that's why it's still kind of a fair fight, but it's literally the president and conservatives against every TV channel except for Fox News, the vast majority of things online, and the only kind of news outlet that the conservatives have is talk radio.
Yeah. How do you think, or how do you perceive that in the United States of America, the greatest country ever on the face of the earth, with the best constitution, the best value system for its citizens, etc., how in the world, if we can, restore common sense?
I think a number of things need to happen. I mean, first, people like you and me need to keep bellyaching about it and keep exposing what's going on. Because the average person, they go home, they turn on Channel 4, they hear, oh, my God, coronavirus, and they just, they don't understand that there's kind of this democratic media complex that is producing the information they have. So I think the first thing we need to do is expose it. The second thing we need to do is because another aspect that's really reared an ugly head these days is censorship, and that's happening online all the time. And it's because these kids who are coming out of college, they're used to cancel culture. They're used to saying, no, the First Amendment doesn't protect hate speech or mean speech, and now they're senior vice presidents at Facebook and at Twitter, and it's a place where people are now getting their information, and they're bringing those values there. So I think we need to stand up. We need to stand up to that and fight it when it happens. And then we're going to need to, and consumers will have to do this, and people like you and me, we have to kind of build up an alternate universe out there. We have to build up conservative voices. There has to be a way that it's not just 85% national media leaning to the left, that it's closer to 50-50. And I think we've got a good 5-10 years to fight that out. People are starting to realize, okay, I grew up believing the New York Times. Now I believe the New York Times is an almost activist organization when they're talking about politics or culture. And so I'm going to go to different news sources and news sources that they all say are silly, but that are presenting an alter. We need more than Fox News on television, and we need more than the New York than a lot of websites out there. So that's my long-term thinking.
But, I think one of the easy solutions, and I underline the word easy because it's not really going to be that easy, is we've got to change and totally turn upside down our education system as to how we're approaching our kids, and whether it's grade school, high school, or at the major universities. And instead of downgrading and denigrating our country, talk about the greatness in this country, because I personally feel, Ken, that we've lost pride in America.
You are 1,000% right. Look, elections and political conversations, they're all kind of downstream from other organizations. They're downstream from the news media, like we're talking. They're downstream from education. These kids didn't come out of a womb hating America and liking socialism and having a really screwed up notion. They're getting that in college. And as the churches, because that was another way that people pass values down, as they've lost power, and things like entertainment and education have grown up and gotten more kind of influence in life, we're definitely seeing a change in values coming out. I mean, look, parents at schools need to start shopping with their wallet. They spend $60,000 a year to send their kid to someplace, and the kid's learning that the concept of time is racist, or all of these ridiculous notions. And you're 100% right that it is so important coming out of the education system, and so many other ones are falling short. I mean, look at the Boy Scouts used to be a good way to pass down good values, and then they went, they then fell into the gay thing, they fell into the transgender, they had girls, and now they're declaring bankruptcy, and that's another kind of loss for American values.
When you look at the overall picture, Trump, of course, an astute businessman that really knows the economy and how to make the wheels turn for a better economic situation, it almost looks like now the left, with their insidious means, are going to use Trump's economy absolutely to try to derail his reelection. It's almost like the train turned run and is running over him.
Well, they know that. Despite them saying, no, those are bad jobs, and look at these economic numbers, we're doing pretty poorly. We're at 3.5% unemployment in America, and it's the lowest it's been in 50 years. So they know that if they can convince Americans that if they can either destroy the economy, or if they can convince Americans that the economy isn't good, that gives them a big hand up.
Well, I absolutely appreciate your coming on the program and talking to us this morning. Give us a little background of what's a day in the life of Ken LaCourte. I mean, you're out there, you sound like you're fighting like I am to restore some common sense. What do you do every day with LaCourte News?
So, I left Fox News a couple years ago, and I was one of the Roger Ailes hype guys, and had worked with him almost my entire career. I actually first started coming out. I hired my old boss at Fox. I actually hired a guy from NPR on the left, and I said, we're gonna be as fair and balanced that both sides are getting a little nutty on the edges on that. And I did my best for about a year of just doing straight news that was, that we didn't have any opinion or anything like that. And Facebook and the New York Times murdered me. In a very real sense. I had 3.5 million followers on Facebook for our various sites, and the New York Times did one of those stories where they implied things and said, they did everything except be super libelous, and I'm actually talking to lawyers, and Facebook yanked all of our sites. Didn't even get an email back from them responding to why. And so at this point, I'm like, that's the new fight, is not only these conversations that we're having, but stopping the social media guys and the tech giants from silencing things. People over 40 have never heard of a site called Reddit. It's the sixth biggest site in the country, in the world, in the country. And it's mainly used by kids in the 20s and 30s. They've got a subsection on that was a pro-Donald Trump section, and it became hugely popular. It's got 1 million young people that use this thing every day, and Reddit is in the process right now of strangling that to death by putting regulations, by putting in what they call quarantines, by applying double standards. And it is literally the biggest act of political suppression I've seen in my life, and it's going on right now, and that fight is just happening everywhere online right now, and I think we got to roll up our sleeves and get into it.
Ken, with your expertise in the news media business and being with Fox News, etc., what about the future? Is there any way to turn this bus around before it goes over a cliff, or can journalism, in its purest sense, ever come back into the media?
I think that journalism in our lifetime will stay more left and more right. I don't think we're going to get the stuff that we saw in the 70s and 80s that, again, was biased, but in the ballpark. So I don't think we can put that genie back into it. My hope and my more than a hope, I believe that we will come back up with both your media on the left, your media on the right. If people really want the real answer, they have to look around on both to get a full notion of what's going on out there. And conservatives are going to have to fight to build that. And it's either fight or retire. I'm too stupid to retire.
I wish you all the success in the world, and I certainly also want to say that you're welcome here on this program anytime. The founder of LaCourte News, Ken LaCourte. God bless you, man, and please come back.
Thank you. Anytime. Enjoyed it.
Thank you, sir. Man that I really enjoyed visiting with, and I'm going to put him on my list of, got to have him back guests on this show, Ken LaCourte. And as he said, he was a senior executive at Fox News Channel and really had some good observations as to what's going on or not going on in our society. And we're going to have him back. I'm going to put that over in my file of, got to have him back in the future, Ken LaCourte. Your calls are welcome. I would really appreciate, in the next few minutes left on the program, if you'd give me a call and share with me your thoughts on any of the subjects we've talked about this morning. And while I'm waiting for your call, that means a lot to me because it helps kill the time. Let's go to the weather forecast, and the weather brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The telephone number to call Don and the crew, 324-7657. Or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com, and check out all the delicious meats from Scarrows Meats. I don't care whether it's the marinated pork ribs, I'm drooling already, or the tri-tips, or maybe all the different bacons and the sausages. Of course, my favorite, I say it almost every day, the bratwurst. I love brats. They are phenomenal. Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, and the number 324-7657. And right now, here's Scott Man with the weather.
Looks to be a pretty nice day today. Good morning with your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron. Sunshine today and a high of 53. For tonight, mostly clear, 27 the low. Sunny and 57 for Wednesday. And then Wednesday night, mostly clear. Wind's going to pick up just a little bit, expecting a low of 30 for Thursday. Mostly sunny and a high of 51. Thursday night, mostly clear with a low of 25. Friday, sunshine and 54. However, Saturday, chance of rain and snow and a high of 53. That's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. Have a great day.
Oh, Scotty, good job. Thank you very much. Scarrows Meats. Don and his great crew over at Scarrows Meats bringing you the weather at 331 North Road, Jerome. Again, that telephone number, give them a call, 324-7657. Or you can remember this, Scarrows Meats, changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Did you folks read the Times News this morning and see on the opinion page that big headline, Big headline. Paulette Jordan launches bid to unseat Senator James Risch. Now, I read this and I highlighted a lot of things in this article, and it said at the beginning, Idaho Democratic senatorial candidate Paulette Jordan has been around long enough to know a thing or two about politics in the Gem State. Gee, that really showed during the last governor's election, did it not? And they go on and make it almost a point. This article was written by Chuck Malloy, a longtime journalist, supposedly, with Idaho Politics Weekly. And he said Jordan has enough going for her to make things interesting as well as entertaining for all political junkies. Do you honestly think that Paulette Jordan, who I think was kind of an embarrassment in the last governor's election, losing easily, that she would even be a test to Senator Jim Risch? Call me on that. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like your opinion on that, please. Quickly, give me a call. Mondays, don't forget, every Monday at 10:30, while they're in session, we, of course, have the Idaho Legislative Update at 10:30 in the morning on Mondays, and it's sponsored by Handy Truck Lines. And while I have just a moment here, I very seldom ever get a chance to really thank them, and I mean thank yous, to Clay Handy and all the folks over at Handy Truck Lines. They've been serving businesses in Idaho and the surrounding states, and you can always depend on Handy Truck Lines because they deliver the goods. Well, they also help deliver all the information about the Idaho Legislative Update Mondays at 10:30, and that's, of course, with either Representative Fred Wood or Senator Kelly Anthon or Speaker of the House Scott Bedke. I can't remember who's going to be on this next Monday. I think Fred said that it looks like it may be Senator Kelly Anthon, so tune in at 10:30 next Monday. Still have time. Give me a jingle. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. A programmed reminder for tomorrow, and for myself as well, that we're going to have Dave Bego at Indianapolis, Indiana on, and then we're going to have a very, very interesting segment at 9:30 tomorrow with the Pacific Legal Foundation on our diminishment, and I didn't ask for it, and I don't think you did either, our free speech. And then one of my favorite guests going to talk about China and all the things that we're overlooking as problems in the world. General Robert Spalding will be on the air. And then a lady from Florida, Jennifer Carroll. I really appreciate all of her comments as to what's going on politically. So don't miss that tomorrow on Zeb at the Ranch. Our major sponsor we really want to thank and acknowledge, and that's, of course, all 7 of the Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Wow. I mean, they really work for you. They've got all the tires, all the sizes for all the vehicles, whether you're driving a car, SUV, pickup, you need tires for your horse trailer, your boat trailer, or even more so than that, if you're out on the farm or dairy and you've had the loader or the backhoe or the skid steer have flat tires, bad tires, you better call them. They got service trucks that go all over serving you. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And a lot of people don't remember that they've got the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, and batteries at all 7 locations. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike in Buell, Mike in Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. And they're celebrating their big spring tire sale at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Wheels, do you realize that last year we made all kinds of promises and said we're going to do this, that, and the other, and we never went fishing once?
You know, I know that's true, sir, and to be honest with you, I still have my fishing pole, too. Still haven't used it, still brand new, and I've just been waiting for that day that we can both go. I
got to tell you, do you remember 2 years ago, I went down and bought a brand new fishing pole, brand new fishing reel, brand new line, everything, and put it in the barn, and I haven't touched it.
You know, it's crazy too, reminiscing on things. Can you believe also that I've been with you for literally almost a little over half a decade? Or no, not half.
You're scaring me.
I've been with you for already actually 6 years.
Has it been that long?
Yep, I've been with you for 6 years already.
Holy cow, and you're still alive, you're still doing well.
We're still kicking.
No, we appreciate you. I did not know that it was that long.
It has been that long, and it's crazy because as each day goes by and every year, I'm starting to realize that the older you do get, the more time flies by.
Oh my, yes. Well, we will find an old fishing hole someplace this year, and we'll have to do that because I need to. I mean, absolutely. I'm letting life run me instead of me running my life, and so this summer I promise we'll do a little fishing, okay?
Yes, sir. I've been the same way, and so I'm with you on that. And if we have to, we'll try calling each other both and getting each other going and stuff like that.
All right. We appreciate you, and we're going to say we appreciate the audience, too, as we're going to get ready to wrap things up today, and we always end the program by saying the way things were are the way things ought to be, and boy, there's a lot of truth in that. But there's also more truth than anything in these words, in God we trust. We certainly hope you have a good day. We're going to be back here tomorrow morning, at 8:06. Zeb at the Ranch, wishing you a great day. We'll see you then.